Good morning, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and welcome to Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is a politically charged stock market pre-show giving you the politics behind the biggest moves in the stock market. It is presented with comedic common sense by an expert in financial literacy, and hey, that's me, Larry Steinhouse. Today is Thursday, March 17th, and I want to welcome you to the show. We are here live on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia, and we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hey, of course, you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and other social media by searching for Larry Steinhouse. You can also find me on Truth Social by searching also for Larry Steinhouse. Hey, just a reminder, if you're watching online, hit that like button, hit that share button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. You can also comment live during the show on YouTube and Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And please say hi so I know you're watching. First person to say hi this morning was Joe. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for watching. By the way, if you're commenting from a group and it's not the Money Chat Now fan page, your name will not show up on my dashboard. So please go to the Money Chat Now page, like the page, and comment there so I can recognize you. Money Chat Now, of course, is brought to you by Investor Schooling, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com. That's today, by the way, and you're going to learn about some really cool stuff today. I'm going to be teaching some stock option basics today that you really want to learn. Anyway, go to investorschooling.com, and you will learn about that today if you register for today. All right, on today's show, we're going to be talking, of course, about the futures update and what happened yesterday. We're going to be talking about China and COVID, and Russia and Alaska, and Chinese stocks, and Berkshire Hathaway. It's kind of like, I don't know, there's something in there. So many different things we're going to be talking about. All right, let's talk about yesterday. Ooh, 2 days in a row. Not bad at all. But I don't know if you noticed this, but around 2 o'clock, it seemed like all of a sudden, everything went downhill when the Fed released their notes. I looked up on my screen and the S&P had tanked. And by the way, if you listened to my show yesterday, I told you to buy some puts on the S&P, and I got to tell you, I sold them at like a 30% profit, but I sold them early. But it's still pretty good because I made 30% in an hour, so I'm okay with that. But what changed at about 2 o'clock? Well, the Fed, as expected, raised interest rates 1/4 point. And frankly, it was no surprise, and the concern was that they may have raised it more, but they didn't. So Wall Street was weird because I thought, okay, if you raise it by 1/4 point, what's the problem? Well, Wall Street was spooked by the fact that the Fed hinted that they may raise interest rates 6 or 7 times this year. And this could bring us to an increase of between 1.5 to 2 points by the end of the year. Now, just understand that that means that they would raise rates almost every month if this is true. You know, frankly, I don't believe they're going to do that. I got to say, my opinion, it'd be 4, maybe 5 on the outside, and the most would be 1 to 1.25 point would be the more logical scenario to me and more likely. Another interesting event, of course, yesterday was President Zelensky's address. I don't know, you guys remember the address to Congress? It was thought that he was going to confirm that Russia and Ukraine had come to an agreement or that they were close. And he really said nothing of the sort. And in fact, he asked Biden for more weapons and a no-fly zone to be enforced over Ukraine. His speech, I don't know if you saw it, it was kind of moving, even though it was told through a interpreter. He did ask for more sanctions and he asked for more actions. He also told Biden, this is funny, he told Biden that if he wants to be the leader of the free world, he must be able to lead the world to peace. Well, I have to say, President Zelensky, I'm really sorry, but I have bad news for you. Biden is probably not the leader you want to count on. He certainly isn't for us, so I can't imagine him being for you. Anyway, Zelensky also compared his war to events in the U.S. such as Pearl Harbor and 9/11, and his speech in the morning wasn't what Wall Street was looking for, but it was motivational enough to get the market moving. At one point, the Dow, before 2 o'clock, before the Fed announced, the Dow was up about 500 points, and the S&P was up about 75 points. And then all of a sudden, like I said before, it all came crashing down. So Powell, and at the time, like 2 o'clock, as I said, he made his announcement about a half an hour, and about a half an hour after the report was actually made, I actually watched it because, I'm thinking, hey, if I want to be somebody in financial literacy, I guess I should actually watch this boring guy. And he really was boring. But, I got to admit, his personality is kind of boring. He's like an accountant, right? And that's basically what he is. You ever talk to an accountant? they're boring people. Sorry, guys. My accountant's probably watching right now, and he's probably just turned it all off. It's okay, John. I don't think you're boring. I know you're into Superman, so you're not boring. Anyway, he spent most of the first part of the speech apologizing for raising interest rates, but he said it's the best course of action. Now, the weird part was he confirmed the 1.9% projection, which is 6 or 7 rate increases, but I still don't think it's going to be that bad. And when he confirmed that, the market tanked. It was bizarre. But then he also said that he was going to be monitoring the market and the war each time the decision was made, and then the market took off. It was fun to watch it because the S&P and the Dow responded to each moment of his speech. Near the end of the speech, the market responded positively, and I got to tell you that while his speech was on, it was a moment of bargains, but I was too busy writing my show for you guys, so the things I sacrificed for you guys, oh man. Just another quick fact that you guys should know, the Fed hasn't raised interest rates since 2018, and I've been saying this all along. In my opinion, they should not have gone that long, and that's part of our inflation problem. Yeah, I got to admit that, Biden's doing some dopey things, but the inflation problem was expected. Maybe it wouldn't be 7.9%, maybe it would be 6% if Biden didn't do some of the things he did, but I got to tell you that this is mostly an inflation problem. But the market did end up, and it closed 519 points above last night, which was incredible. The S&P also bounced up 95 points, but the NASDAQ closed up 488 points. What a day. And then you do have, I don't know if you realize this, but right around the end of the day, the 10-year Treasury bond was just under 2.25. And I've said before, if it hits 2.25, it's going to wreak havoc on the NASDAQ. So there we have it. We have no more surprises. We know that the Fed is increasing interest rates. The war happened, and it's continuing at least for now, and oil prices are slightly dropping. This means that the market is probably going to take off from here, as I predicted for the past month. And actually, if you've been listening, it happened almost exactly as I've been predicting on this show. So if you're a frequent viewer of this show and you've been taking some of the advice and you're very happy right now, make sure you send me 20% of your profits. That's Larry Steinhouse and Investor Schooling in Langhorne. Send me a check for 20% of your profits to Larry Steinhouse, Investor Schooling in Langhorne. All right, real quick, I want to take a look at the futures and say hello to a couple of people online. The futures right now, the Dow is down 87 points, the S&P is down 12, and the NASDAQ is down 58. And honestly, that's pretty much what I expect because the market's going to take a little bit of a pause. All right, I want to say hello to Bill and Dave and Jose and Tom. Thanks, guys. I totally appreciate you watching. I also hear a rumor that there's someone named Judy listening to this show right now, and she's telling me I should stop yelling. So, Judy, I'm going to yell all the time. So stop making comments. Ha. All right, let's talk about China and COVID. Hey, I mentioned the past few days that China was locking down their country again due to COVID cases. Oh, yeah. Yes, the big bad cold is back in the news again. Well, apparently a fear that this would cause supply chain and manufacturing issues is slowly being alleviated. A factory that supplies Apple with necessary parts to build iPhones was shut down on Monday amid the newest version of the scamdemic, right? So Apple stock dropped to slightly below 150 because of the fear that Apple might have trouble manufacturing the new iPhones for a while. I told you guys, I mentioned it, I think I mentioned it on Friday, if Apple goes below 150, buy it, and sure enough, just a few days later, the factory resumed, or at least partially resumed manufacturing, and the parts needed for the phone are being made, and basically it was a nothing event. So Apple is already up. Apple, I think, was at 158 yesterday, so in 2 days you would have went from 150 to 158, and a stock option, that would have been amazing. Also, China, China is also, because of the scamdemic, the ports are requiring constant testing for COVID for the workers and the truck drivers to enter or leave the facility. I was thinking about this. Maybe we could send some of our brave truck drivers there to protest, right? Come to think of it, it's probably a bad idea because all the communist and Nazi moves that our government hit us with the past 2 years, China is a much bigger expert at doing that. They would probably bomb the trucks, kill the drivers, and any survivors would not be heard from ever again. So maybe that's not such a good idea in China. I got to tell you that when I think about that, with all the complaining some of us have been doing, like me, right? It could be a lot worse if we had leaders like they do in other countries. So I'm going to say that no matter how bad it is right now here or how bad it was, God bless America. All right, let's take a quick break, and we will talk to you in a few minutes.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from two Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. I forgot what I was supposed to say. Hey, who am I? Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm the expert in financial literacy, Larry Steinhouse, who does this show, Money Chat Now. That's right. Okay. Hey, by the way, really quick, I want to talk to you about something that I found was that comes from the WTF files, and hopefully you'll get a chuckle out of it also. I don't know if you saw this, but in response to the sanctions put on Russia, a Russian lawmaker is demanding that the United States return Alaska and an historic settlement in California, in addition to paying reparations to Russia over crippling American-led sanctions that have put Moscow's economy in a tailspin. Okay, the demand is for the return of Alaska, which, by the way, the U.S. purchased from Russian Empire in 1867 as part of the Alaska Purchase, and also was a former Russian settlement of Fort Ross. I don't know if you know this, 90 miles from San Francisco. For those of you who find this interesting, just so you know, Alaska was purchased by the U.S. for $7.2 million in 1867, and I got to tell you, $7.2 million, that's amazing, right? Think about that number. I've been telling you that real estate is the best investment ever. Can you imagine how many zeros you would need to add to that number in today's dollars? Wow. Anyway, there's another piece Russia was a settlement in California known as Fort Ross, California, which is 90 miles north of San Francisco. So this lawmaker, otherwise known as a nutcase, is asking for all of this back as reparations for sanctions imposed on Russia. Well, as you might imagine, this country will probably ignore the request. Unless, of course, it's put in the hands of Biden, then we might have to worry. You know, it's basically an interesting topic if you want to find out how you could buy by the way, I got to tell you, if you want to find out how you could buy properties like Alaska for $7.2 million without any money out of your pocket, you probably want to go to Investor Schooling and find out how to do that, because that is definitely the way to do it. We teach it all the time. Anyway, we'll see you tonight if you want to come. And of course, if you want more information on Investor Schooling, you can call 866-424-2829 or go to investorschooling.com. Hey, by the way, if you guys are watching online, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that share button. Let me know you enjoy the show. And you can also leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And I want to say hello to a couple of people who just joined us. I want to say hello to Michael and Charles and Rob. And that's it. So thanks, guys. I totally appreciate you watching. Oh, by the way, think about this for a second. I was just thinking about this. How funny is this, right? That last story about Russia wanting Alaska and part of California back. I could just imagine if all this happens, Kamala Harris will be saying, California is a big state. Nevada is a smaller state. California invaded Nevada, and that's bad. Yeah, I know, Nevada's huge, but I just thought that was funny. All right, so far, of course, we've been discussing the futures update. Right now, the Dow is down 96, the S&P is down 13, and the NASDAQ is down 51. Pretty much what I expect today. Russia, we talked about Russia and Alaska. Coming up, we got Chinese stocks, and we got Berkshire Hathaway. And, of course, we have today's picks and plays. But did you guys hit that like that like button. Did you guys hit that share button yet? Don't forget to leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, be sure instead of a preset to this station and listen every day at 7:30. Also, look up Money Chat Now on Facebook when you get home and let me know what you think of the show. All right, let's talk a little bit about Chinese stocks. Oh, man. Last year, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year was terrible for Chinese stocks. It was awful as President Xi Jinping made it virtually impossible for the publicly held Chinese stocks to actually make profits. The communist leader imposed taxes and levies against each company, and the few that protested this idea were quickly silenced or disappeared for a while, like Jack Lee. I don't know if you guys know Jack Lee was the creator of Alibaba, and he disappeared for a while. He was gone for months. He resurfaced in Hong Kong. So, very interesting, right? We've also seen many discrepancies in account practices of Chinese stocks, like with the Starbucks competitor, Luckin Coffee. I don't know if you've ever seen Luckin Coffee and the story with that, but the CFO cooked the books. And when it was found out, the stock crashed 90% in one day. Ooh. So, like Alibaba, we have other brands that are also popular stock plays in the U.S., such as Tencent Music and Didi. Now, all of these stocks and many other Chinese stocks were down about 80% since the beginning of last year. I got to tell you, this is causing some of them to possibly be delisted on the U.S. stock exchange. And now there's also a new rule, and I have a funny feeling it corresponds with Luckin, but it's called the Holding Foreign Companies Accountability Act, which allows the SEC to audit the books of companies listed on the stock exchanges, and this rule was implemented right around the same time that Luckin stock fraud was discovered. So many of the Chinese companies aren't allowing the SEC to access to audit these books, so the SEC is recommending some of these stocks to be delisted. All right, so how does this affect you? Well, if you have no Chinese stocks, of course it won't. But if you're holding Chinese stocks for a while now, you have lost 75% or more of your investment, and you probably aren't going to get it back. On the other hand, some of the companies that are basically cooperating may actually move up. In fact, yesterday, we saw some of the Chinese companies move up with amazing gains. Alibaba moved up 36%. Tencent moved up about 36% as well, and Didi moved up 41%. Yeah, look, now I know what you're thinking, right? Is this the time to buy Chinese stocks? And here's my answer. No. It's risky, especially with a big move like yesterday. If you got in this week and you were up on your profit, that's great, take it. But if not, I would just say stay away from it. It's not a great move. And we still have the possibility that Jinping will help Russia, and then we'll have a dumping of all Chinese stocks. By the way, my answer also might be tainted because I got to tell you that last year I lost about $100,000 in an Alibaba play, and that was rough. Hey, I also want to mention real quick, if you didn't know about this, don't forget we have a Freedom and Finances event, and we've added Doug Mastriano as a keynote speaker. And I got to tell you, Doug's story is amazing. Like, he happens to be running for governor, but I'm going to tell you, just his story is so motivational. The guy's just amazing. And you definitely want to be at this event to shake his hand and wish him luck and take a picture with him. Hey, if he becomes governor, it'd be a cool picture, right? I became a big fan of Doug Mastriano when he fought the big bad Governor Wolf against mask mandates and vaccine mandates. So if you want to be part of this, go to 4mmw.com, 4mmw.com, and you can register for the event before the price increases, and it's going to go up soon. So 4mmw.com to register, and it's going to sell out fast. I think we have 40-something seats left, so go to 4mmw.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about my favorite moneymaker, Warren Buffett. I bet you heard of Warren Buffett, right? For years, this was the richest man in the country, and he's been called the Oracle of Omaha, and he's the leading and most brilliant mind in company evaluations. His company, Berkshire Hathaway, is listed on the stock exchange and is one of the most successful companies ever. Berkshire Hathaway really, just so you guys know, really works more like a mutual fund as it invests in several companies, but the big difference is that most of the companies that Berkshire invests in, they actually own. So these are some of the companies that they solely own. So Berkshire Hathaway owns these companies outright. Geico, Duracell, Dairy Queen, Fruit of the Loom, Helzberg Diamonds, Long & Foster, Pampered Chef, Forest River, and others. So there's a bunch of others too. So it's amazing to me that they own all these companies. And they're also a major stockholder in several other companies like Apple, Heinz, and so many more. Well, the company, just so you know, is a publicly traded company, and yesterday the stock hit an all-time high of $500,000 per share. That's right, the stock sold yesterday for $500,000. It doubled since 2017. But I'm gonna take you back to a time. It was right around, I don't know, maybe 1994, 1996. Reading an article about how Berkshire Hathaway just hit 38,000, and that was amazing. And damn, I missed out on that opportunity. That would have been awesome. Wow. So Berkshire Hathaway is now the number 6 highest valuation of all companies listed. Tesla is number 5, so it's right after Tesla, and Apple is number 1. So the interesting part of this stock price is the fact that Buffett swore that he would never split the stock, and he's held that belief since the beginning. My guess is he wanted to keep the riffraff like you and I out of the stock and only allow more serious investor in. Well, it's worked so far, and I guess I can't short the stock waiting for the 91-year-old Buffett to die. I just don't have the capital to back it up. By the way, Buffett's mentor, Charlie Munger, is 98 years old. So I guess money can buy you a long life. All right, we will see you guys after this commercial. Talk to you in a minute. Investor Schooling needs a new slogan.
Investor schooling? Never heard of.
Investor schooling?
Never heard of them.
Investor schooling? Never heard of them.
Any suggestions? Phil?
Investor schooling. We never heard of you either.
Investor Schooling. We never heard of you either. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And of course, if you'd like more information on investor schooling, you can go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. 866-424-2829. Hey, come tonight. You're going to learn a lot about stock options. I promise. It's going to be a great night. All right, right now the Dow is down 125, the S&P is down 17, and the Nasdaq is down 75. Hey, we talked about China and COVID, where they're trying to lock down China again, and I don't see it working this time. I actually listen, guys. If they ever lock you down again, I want to make sure that you guys all go to the supermarket without wearing masks and do what you need to do to protest the scamdemic. We talked about Russia and Alaska. Russia wants Alaska back. And, maybe if we're lucky, Biden won't find out about it because he might accidentally give it back to them. We talked about Chinese stocks and Berkshire Hathaway hitting $500,000. Coming up, we have today's picks and plays. But did you guys hit that like button yet? Did you guys hit that share button yet? I tell you what, the one who shares it the most next week, from today to next Friday, the one who shares it the most is I'm going to give them a free ticket to the Freedom and Finance event. So if you share it the most, I'm going to give you a free ticket to the Finance and Freedom event. And that's with Doug Mastriano, with Bill Spadia, myself, and 5 other incredible speakers. So start sharing. All right, you can also leave comments on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, set one of your presets to this channel and listen every day at 7:30 for all you need to know about the politics behind the stock market and the biggest moves. All right, let's talk about what's going on today. Let me give you my read on the market today. So I'm pretty sure Wall Street is going to take a time out today. The last 2 days were incredible, and usually this means that the money managers are really just enjoying their spoils by relaxing and knowing that they made this week's bonus so they can take their wife, their girlfriend, their mistress, or all 3 out to a great steak dinner. I would expect a little drop today, but probably nothing major unless we get a surprise. Right? Any kind of surprise headline would make it drop, but I don't see much of a drop today. The Fed notes have been digested, and Wall Street is factoring the rate increases and basically what it'll mean to the individual companies. As I've been saying, the market moves in ranges, and I believe we're settling into a new range of about 32,500 to about 34,500 in the Dow for the next few months. So look for this range, and we are at the bottom of the range or near the bottom of the range. That's usually the time to buy. As we approach the top of the range, like now we're a little bit off, but like now as you start to approach it, park cash on the sidelines waiting to pounce. I'm still a believer in the travel stocks, and if you got in last week as I suggested, you reap the rewards this week. I sold off a few of them yesterday at nice profits, and I'm going to tell you, every time you see a dip in this sector, buy it. I'm predicting this is going to be the biggest sector of the year. Meta, by the way, is moving back up above 200, and I'm also expecting the stock to rally as we approach earnings in about 6 weeks. Apple is also a good play now that we know that the supply chain issue is going to be a problem. I would also stay away from the oil stocks right now, but if they drop significantly, it may be a play. And even if you have a good feeling about the Chinese stocks, I would tend to stay away from them. All right, let's see what's going on. Again, the futures are down 125. The S&P is down 17, and NASDAQ is down about 75. And like I said, I'm also expecting the market to go down a bit. But an update is going to follow either tomorrow or Monday. The dead zone period is over, and the market is ready to move up. All right, real quick, crypto. Crypto is holding steady, and like I've been saying, I don't expect major moves like we've had in the past. I do expect it to range, but I don't expect major moves. I don't expect it going from 40,000 to 60,000 in a week. Maybe 40,000 to 45,000, and maybe 40,000 to 35,000, and that's probably where it's going to be for quite a while. Gold and silver usually move contrary to the stock market, and today it looks like that point is true. Gold is about 1950, and silver about 2550, and of course the Treasury bond is a fraction of a point away from the 2.25%. And when that happens, I'm going to tell you right now, the Nasdaq's going to crash for the day. Buy Apple stock if the Nasdaq crashes, because the Treasury bond hits 2.25. Hey, I want to ask you guys, if you pre-order my book, go to barnesandnoble.com and pre-order Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse. I promise you're going to learn something. And hey, if you've been listening, my accountant confirms, even though I made fun of him earlier, my accountant confirms that it might be tax deductible. I also want to thank all you listeners on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia. I want to thank you for your continued support. And if you're enjoying the show, please reach out and let us know. You can leave comments on our page or the WWDB fan page and look for us online. My name is Larry Steinhouse, and of course, from time to time, I own some of the assets and stocks discussed in this show. The opinions discussed in this show is solely mine, and no one has asked me to discuss them. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Hey, don't forget tomorrow's Phone Call Friday. You could call in tomorrow and talk to me. Make it a profitable day.